Yoo-hoo, entrepreneurs! Andy Lyons here. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to the Possibility Partners Show. I'm your Chief Possibility Officer, and every Tuesday at 1 p.m. EST, you're going to find me hanging right here on Google Plus with amazing entrepreneurs sharing Andelicious advice for you entrepreneurial adventurers. And you know, these are inspirational conversations with seasoned entrepreneurs sharing their best information, best tools, tips, and advice. I'm talking feeding your heart, feeding your mind, and feeding your business. And it's all so you can grow both inside and outside with yourself and your business. Now, you guys know these entrepreneurial adventures that we're on, oh my gosh, they have moments of sheer exhilaration, right? And they also have moments of sheer terror where we sit here going, oh no, I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I'm filled with uncertainty. How am I going to launch this new product? What am I going to do with this new employee? All those certain pesky, but important parts of the journey that we're all on as business owners. So thank you for doing yourself the wonderful favor and gift by tuning into the Possibility Partners Show, because we're here to hold hands on our journey and grab some courage and tenacity and persistence and resilience and that delicious feeling of hope as we go down the road of our businesses that they bring us. Oh my gosh, ups, downs, ins and outs, woohoos and rut-rows. So I do appreciate your being here and tuning in, and be sure to visit my website, andylyons.com, where you'll always find incredible resources for you and your business, as well as please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Andelicious Advice is what it's called, because that way you can stay on top of all the new shows coming in. Well, today, speaking of entrepreneurial wisdom, we have such an extraordinary digital marketing pioneer, storyteller, explorer, humanitarian, and a brand new Proud Poppa of a puppy called Nadia. Yes, we have the local legend from Boston, Massachusetts, Chapman here with us today. Hey, Cece.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm so glad you're here.
So I realized I should. This is silly. So being one of those entrepreneurs who gets to work from home and get to do these things, I realize this is silly. I got to do something. Hold on. I realize this.
This is great.
I realize, you mentioned her. I should totally get her.
Oh.
This is Nadia. This is her first webcast. So she's just waking up. But yeah, she's a little bundle of joy.
Oh, guys, is that not the most adorable puppy? Did you see the the photos that I posted here?
I did. But yeah, that's Nadia. So she's saying hello. She's not sure what I'm doing to her.
Hi, precious puppy.
All right, you can go back to sleep so I can go do this, okay? But I had to bring you up. Here you go. Here you go. I figured you wouldn't mind me bringing her on. I realized that as she was sleeping next to me, I was like, I should bring her on.
Oh, I'm so glad you did. She is, those brown eyes, they just translate right into your heart, right, everybody who's watching?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So, Cece, I met you 3.5 years ago at an event we had here in Boston called Brand Camp U.
Yeah.
And I've been a huge fan ever since. I bought your book, got your signature on it, and I've been following you, and I love how you've evolved over the years and how you're just so out there sharing your whole self transparently with everybody. It's pretty amazing. But what was it that compelled you to become an entrepreneur initially, and then what was it about digital marketing that sang to you?
It's funny because it's kind of a long, weird, strange trip, as I think most entrepreneurial journeys are. Anybody who says it's a straight line is probably lying to you or just been really, really lucky. I started getting into marketing when just after college I had a really independent, small budget film company. This was pre-YouTube or any of that stuff, and just started teaching myself HTML. Started teaching myself, just connecting with people online, and we were making movie posters and sharing that stuff, and that's where I started getting to the online marketing space. The entrepreneur bug was always there. While my parents are not entrepreneurial necessarily, my dad is a little bit, but they're definitely blue collar, small town So I grew up in New Hampshire, but just it was one of those things where I got to the point where I said to myself, my God, I don't know if I'm ever going to have a boss. I don't know if I can ever be in a situation where I'm not in control. You know, there's always going to be clients. There's always going to be people you have to keep happy. But if I'm not in the power structure somewhere where I can help make decisions for a company, I'm never going to be totally happy. And I think that's when it started. You know, I used to joke that I was unemployable, but I don't think that's true, because with the right team, I'm totally employable. But it's been one of those things where I think that was really the moment where I realized, you know, because I've worked for too many people where I didn't believe in them as business owners, or just, you know, the way they approach business. I'm just very set in my values that I was like, you know what? I think the only path for me is to be an entrepreneur, and you know, and I think I'm still figuring that out, even though I've been fairly successful over the years. It's one of those things where I think you're constantly. If I was just the content guy, it'd be a lot easier. But I've never allowed myself to just be into one little bucket, because I don't know, life's too short for that.
Absolutely, and you bring up a good point about the right team for those of us entrepreneurs. Absolutely, and especially if you get to handpick those team members.
Well, and I've realized, I think the key thing about, I mean, for anybody watching who's trying to start something up, I mean, that team is critical, because, like I'm a perfect example. Like, I hate the number side of being an entrepreneur. I don't like the books. I don't like the billing. I even hate the contract part. I just want to do the work, you know. And, you know, when I've been most successful, I've had people on my team who enjoy that side, or at least embrace it enough to do it, because I know too often, especially when you're by yourself, it's so tough when you're like, you know, I've got to do all this stuff over here, but I want to be over here doing the creative stuff or doing the work, but I've got to go bill a client or do another proposal. I mean, that's it comes with it. But if you can find a team where you can each take different parts of it, it makes life so much more enjoyable.
I love that. Now, one thing you're really good at is storytelling. Seriously.
Thank you.
What is it? Like, how did you become this great storyteller?
I don't know. I've been asked that before, and I don't know if it's something about growing up. I grew up in small town New Hampshire. We didn't have a lot of technology. I had very limited friends. So we were out in the woods, make believing. I used to go camping a lot. I mean, I vividly remember seeing someone around a Boy Scout campfire telling the legend of Sam McGee, which is this famous poem, and I remember going, "Whoa, that's cool." But it's just I don't know. It's in me. I think it's partially my theater background. I think partially it's my grandfather teaching me how to take pictures, you know, or doodling back and forth when I was little to my grandfather, because I didn't know how to write yet. I don't know. I wish I had like a point where I could say, oh, it was such and such a person. But I always give credit to Susan Pett, my 5th grade teacher, who I still can't call her. I think it's the first time I've ever said Susan out loud. It's Mrs. Pett to me till my dying day, who put me on stage. She said, you know, you should try acting, and I did, and I've never looked back. So I give her credit whenever possible.
Now, when you get on the stage, though, because, you know, I've had the good fortune to hear you speak several times live, and anybody who has had the good fortune to be in the audience when Cece gets on the stage, Ivy, you're so engaging and you're magnetic.
Thank you.
Do you plan those stories ahead of time, Cece?
A little bit. It's one of those things. It depends on the speech. I mean, I do a lot of if I'm more teaching mode, you know, like it's a workshop for a client, or if I'm in class at school teaching, that's very structured. But at the same time, too, if it's a keynote, I mean, yes, I'll have it'll be structured, it'll be planned out, but at the same time, I've been known to go on tangents. So, and you're right, it's one of those engaging things where, you know, if someone asks a question and we might go way off topic, and I've had that happen before. And what I always joke about is, you know, once you've done Midsummer Night's Dream and you have a donkey's head on your head and you're doing Shakespeare and your Italian grandmother's 3 rows away and laughing at you, there's no audience that intimidates me anymore. And I am most happy on a stage for any reason. And it's I don't get to do it nearly enough sometimes because I love it. So
well, and you're infectious, and you get called into doing some of the coolest speaking engagements at the most amazing events, because you were just at the WTF, and that's wine, technology, and food, folks.
Yes, that was WTF out in California was beautiful. Lots of great wine. We were at a vineyard doing the talk. Yeah, I've been extremely fortunate that, you know, I would admit, you know, I look at my kids now who are in high school, and I try explaining to them, you can't plan necessarily what's out, because this didn't exist for me, and I certainly never said I was going to be doing this, and it's taken me all over the world, and every day I count my blessings and sort of pinch me and figure somebody's going to be like, Cece, get off that stage, you don't belong there. But I've been very, very blessed.
You certainly have. And whenever I think of you, Cece, because of course I follow your wonderful blog, I think of photographs. Viewers, Cece takes photos of everything, wherever he is, and he takes his storytelling capability and he adds it to the richness of his photography. And you all know how I feel that photography is a love affair with life. But you take extraordinary photos, Cece. What was it about photography that you just felt this was going to be your creative outlet?
I think it was just one of those things where I mentioned my grandfather was a big photographer, and unfortunately, well, he was like my best friend. We lost him when I was 9, unfortunately, to pancreatic cancer, and I still this day, man, I wish he could see the technology we have. The fact that, what used to take him hours to develop, that I can take on my phone is insane. Photography's always been something that came to me first because I'll see something and I want to capture it and share it, and it might just be for the sake of it caught my eye, or it may be something that I'm thinking about for the future to use for a piece of content. But honestly, wherever I go, I'm taking pictures, whether I have a camera or not. That's why I loved smartphones when they first came around, because I'm like, now I always have a camera with me. And my hardest decision when I travel is what camera am I going to bring, because I'm within arm's reach. I have 2 cameras right now and my phone. I think photography is one of those things, and the more you take photos, it's taking snapshots just to capture life. I think you become better at it, and you start seeing things differently. And I do. I take photos with my eye all the time, even when I'm not taking a picture. My wife and my kids, thankfully, have gotten used to the fact that no matter where we are, I am going to stop and take pictures, and they've learned I am going to catch up. I will not leave you. It's okay. But yeah, photography is super important, and I always tell people, especially for this audience, you don't have to have a crazy camera, and you don't have to be a professional photographer to take pictures that'll supplement what you're doing. Take them around your office, take them of your business. There's so many things you can take snapshots, but then also realize that once you have budget, and if you want to take it to another level, you might need to hire a photographer, or you might need to take classes. But taking snapshots, taking pictures, anybody can do, and the only way you're going to get better at it is to start doing it, and doing it on a regular basis.
Absolutely. I remember the good old days when I just had the old f-stop manual. I would sneak them into concerts.
Nice.
I know. Because, I'm old enough so that I was there in the first few rows of The Who and Jethro Tull. And,
man. You are not old enough. What were you, like 10 sneaking in?
Whatever.
Ah.
But it was great. I'm a huge fan of photography as well, and I agree. When you can capture moments that are meaningful to you and then share them with your audience, it can really create a deeper connection with those that you're trying to reach, to have a meaningful relationship with, and you're also sharing yourself. And we're not talking about all the selfies that are empty. We're talking about meaningful photos, like my good friend Gretchen takes. She had just such an eye for placement and visuals. I just love watching her take photos. So, Cece, back to the entrepreneurial adventure. All my guests love sharing a little something about how they get through the days, the months, the years of being unemployable. Is there a daily practice that you do to just lighten the load and keep you inspired?
I wish. I'm trying to find that. It's been like this winter, especially. So one of the things I found last summer, I started doing this exercise called rucking, which all it is it's putting weight on your back. Anybody who's in the military has done this before. You put weight in a backpack and you go for a walk. I have horrible knees, so I can't run. But this walk, and it was so good. I found that getting out every day just cleared my head. I didn't bring technology. I'd have my phone with me, but I wasn't listening to music or those things. And that really helped focus me. And I know this winter here in New England has been just horrible. So the idea of even getting out and going for a walk was impossible with the amount of snow we had. And I've watched my mental state and my focus and everything plummet this winter. And So I'm all kinds of excited to get back out now that I can actually like see grass, even though it's brown and horrible. I can see it out my window. But that I found really helped me. I mean, just getting some exercise going. Also, the other thing that it helps me too is it sounds so cliche, but anybody who works at home is taking a shower. You know, I usually don't first thing in the morning. You know, kind of get the kids out, and I'll crank through some work. But then mid-morning, lunchtime, I'll go jump in a shower, and it's such a kind of washes the morning away and just kind of and it's like the best coffee break ever. And I found that really helps me to kind of, I try to, like, if I have like a big task, I'll take it beforehand and just because it's so easy to stay in the pajama pants and not get dressed and not shave for weeks at home. It's really easy. That's why I love things like this, because it forces me to shave, right?
Yeah. No, you're right about the shower. My husband, who has a business in renewable energy as a consultant, he does 2 or 3 showers a day sometimes because his work is so highly focused and intense. Yeah. It just, and everybody knows it's scientific, okay? Those ions with the water, something happens, it clears your head. That is such a great idea. Thank you.
I'm laughing at the irony that he works in renewable energy, but he's taking 3 showers a day. That may not be.
Solar hot water tank. Come on.
Okay, all right.
But anyway, yeah, I know it's young. He works on the bigger picture around the world. But anyway, everybody, you know I'm loving this Andelicious advice from CC Chapman, and you can find out all you want to know about this wonderful, remarkable man. Visit his website at cc-chapman.com and sign up for his blog, because I'm telling you, it's some of the best writing and visual content that you will see. And those of you who are here live, oh, come on, join us in the green room after this show. You know, those of you who have been here, that we have an amazing afterglow chat and delicious conversation. Nothing's recorded. You don't have to worry about your technology. You can keep your headshot on. You don't have to show your true self physically. We have such a good time. So I'm going to post the link after the show is done, and I hope we see you there. We've got a huge contingent from the UK watching today. I just want to say I love that, and a lot of great folks. So I'm going to bring up Kirsten's comment about the puppy.
Oh,
that cute. I wouldn't get any work done in Cece's office. I would be too busy cuddling the adorable puppy on the sofa. Does that happen for you, Cece?
I did, yeah. Because so literally, I got her on Saturday, and we're recording this on a Tuesday, and I realized I put a little dog bed. It's I don't know, 30 feet away from me, and she's curled up. But like, you know, a couple minutes ago we went out for a walk, and earlier I was like cuddling her, like I could just stay here all day, but I can't because it's not fair. But no, it's very, very tempting for sure.
Yeah, and then of course Carmen, who's from Europe. I take photos. My camera takes photos, and the best photos are the ones we take together. 3 eyes working well.
I like that, Carmen. That's awesome.
I feel your enthusiasm from here, Carmen. I really do. That's amazing. So we've got a great group watching us live, Cece. I feel so grateful for their wonderful energy here. But let's chat about what I call the art of imperfection in the entrepreneurial journey. And you do this so well with your work, with your branding, your storytelling. How is it that you're reaching audiences today? What's really working for you?
It's interesting because it seems to be different audiences. I mean, Instagram seems to be really powerful for me lately. Even though I really wish I could put links in Instagram, because then I could point to other things that drives. Please, Instagram, add that feature. But Instagram seems to be where I get the most interaction with people, and that and Facebook still, you know. But it's fascinating because, you know, I'm a Twitter guy. I love Twitter, but Twitter lately has become more noise than interaction, unfortunately. But it's one of those things where I create and share, and it seems to go wherever, you know. And then I never know what's gonna go where. You know, it's always weird. Like all of a sudden I'll post one thing and Facebook will pay attention, and then the next day Twitter will pay attention. And for entrepreneurs out there listening, they're like, "See, that doesn't help me." Well, what I'm trying to say is it's the truth. You can plan all you want, and unfortunately you don't know on a given day what people are going to connect with. If you constantly publish to one, like Instagram, I'm always publishing to Instagram. People know, oh, as for CC's going to post his images, I'm going to go there and follow along. So constantly feeding it is important, but it drives me, and every day, you know, now meerkatting and periscoping and all these new tools, and tomorrow will be something new. So I love playing. I play with everything, and then whatever clicks with me, I saw a quote just before we came on, this YouTuber talking about how she doesn't care about the platform. She's platform agnostic. She's about creating stories, and that's kind of the way I look at it. I mean, I've been blogging since 2002 and podcasting since 2004. I'm an old timer with this stuff, and some days I'll hit record on the microphone because I don't feel like typing and finding the right words, and other days I want to write. So I don't know. I wish I had a better, but it's tough. It's really tough because this space changes, people's attention spans change. It's difficult.
Well, and ways that you reach people on the different platforms change is my experience too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still a newbie, but I've been doing it since 2011, social media, but I was waiting my whole life for it, just so you know. But it does change in how we reach people, and I think that what you're saying is, just to be an equal platform opportunist.
Yeah. Yeah, try them all out. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to have your own website. And that's where, my website, my blog is where everything goes back to. It's the main point of contact with everything I do. And yeah, I'll push stuff to Facebook and Instagram and everything, but I'm trying to pull it all. That's where I always try to, and I think it's the one thing too many businesses, especially the big ones, seem to forget about is bring them to your dot whatever, because that's the only thing you can control, because everything else is getting bought by somebody else. Gonna get, I complain about Instagram. Facebook owns them. They haven't done, but at some point, they're going to integrate more. What does that mean? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to post pictures, and whatever platform it is, we'll see.
Well, you hit on a very important point, and entrepreneurs, business owners, please hear this. It is all about you and your website. Take advantage of creating connection and conversations on your favorite social media platforms, but at the end of the day, Cece is absolutely right. Bring them back to your dot whatever.
It is, and it's still fascinating. I mean, think about all the people that built these massive followings on MySpace. And there's people watching it from now. They're going, what was MySpace? It was huge, And now same thing with Facebook. People built up these huge audiences, and then Facebook changed the rules where you as an entrepreneur want to reach those people, you've got to pay for it. But at the end of the day, if I got an email list, if I have people subscribe to my blog, I can reach out to them anytime I want, and nobody can tell me differently. So you have to start there, and then everything else supplements it. But start there and then branch out.
Beautiful, beautiful words of wisdom. So recently, Cece shared an amazing YouTube video, and it was by Chase Jarvis. He was doing a presentation and somewhere in Seattle, and he called it From Ansel Adams to Macklemore: Grit, Guts, Gumption, and the Art of More. And I'll share the link in the archives, everyone. But I loved his whole point, Cece, about the art of more and more and more. And I really think as we evolve as entrepreneurs, this is a very Andelicious point. What do you think about it?
I think it's critical. I mean, Chase Jarvis is a bit of a mentor of mine. I've had the fortune of actually meeting him, but I've followed his he's a photographer first, but he's an entrepreneur. He's doing things that if people are not familiar with Chase Jarvis, check out his work. The Art of More. I mean, it's one of those things where his thing was if you're only chasing the dollars, you're doing it wrong. You have to most entrepreneurs, yeah, we all need to make money, and don't get me wrong, we all want more of it. But at the end of the day, most entrepreneurs, the true entrepreneurs, are chasing it because they have to. They need to do it. I need to create this. Chase Jarvis, created the best camera app is what it was called. It was Instagram before Instagram existed. And I had a good conversation with him off the record about, dude, oh my God, you must be going nuts as an entrepreneur. But no, because he's leveraged it in the other things, and he does all these events, and now he owns Creative Live, which is a killer online learning course place. And the Art of More is just, you have to try it. You have to try it, and there's nothing wrong with, as much as I hate failing, and I'm not a fan of this fail fast and fail often crap that too many people preach, I'm more about, try it, and you might fail, and if you do, get back up, pull yourself back up, dust yourself off, and try again. And that's the doing more. I have more passion projects or side hustles, whatever you want to call them. I'm not a big fan of the word hustle either, but passion projects where you're doing them because you have to. And if they eventually morph into making you money somehow, oh my God, that's beautiful. But if it doesn't too, doesn't it fill you with some sort of you feel good for doing it, and that's what I think the more is, and I'm a big fan of it.
I love it too. I really do. And for me, it's also being more, which is, of course, getting to know myself more
Uh,
and bringing more of myself to folks anywhere for whatever reason. I mean, business is great, but if I have an opportunity to lighten somebody's day with a smile and a howdy do, I'm there too.
exactly.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you're really great at is not only helping brands really nail their brand promise, and those who watch me on a regular basis, you know how committed I am to creating the right brand mission, the right brand promise, and the right brand experience, because that's where your true engagement happens, and that's where you get your ecstatic brand ambassadors. How do you do that? And also share with everybody the deliciousness of your having real brands, big brands who hire you.
How do you do it? Wow, I don't know if we got enough time, but I mean, I think how you do it is, you've got to be authentic. You got to do your grunt work as a brand. I mean, you want brand advocates and people who love you, and you want to get them involved. You've actually got to go find those people, and it's not the person with the highest clout score or the biggest following. It's about more than that, because. And it's funny, I've done so many influencer campaigns from both sides of the house, both from the brand side and from being the influencer side, and most people do it horrible. They just...
Well, what's an example of horrible? Tell us.
Horrible is, hey, we're going to give you this product, or we're going to give you this, but here's all the things you have to do. We want to buy this, we need to buy that, you need to do this, and you're like, wait a minute, huh? Because influencers of any sort, or not even influencers, individuals, because you're never going to be the brand's priority. I mean, the brand is never going to be the influencer's priority. They got other things going on in their life. They didn't get to where they are, and they don't have all the free time in the world. And those are the ones that do it wrong. The ones that do it right realize that it has to be a two-way relationship. Every relationship, somebody's got to get something out of it on both sides. And it's not just money. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's gear. Sometimes it's respect. Sometimes the number one mistake I think brands make, and this is the dumbest mistake to make, they don't use their light to shine on the people that they've got who are advocates. Something as simple as retweeting when somebody, even if they're not an official brand advocate, someone says, hey, I had a great meal at XYZ restaurant, you should all go. Why wouldn't a brand retweet that? But if they are... I've done stuff where I've created videos or photographs for companies before. Why in the world wouldn't they take that and push it out on their Facebook feed or their Twitter feed when we've got a relationship here? That's good for me because it shines a light on, oh, wow, Cece can do this. It looks good for them because they're like, hey, look, we're working with so-and-so, and look at this. And it gives them all kinds of free content that they want. And it's the number one mistake I've seen over the years is them not using their exposure and their light to shine it on these people. And it just seems that one alone, it always boggles my mind because, like, why did you do this program in the first place if you didn't want all this great content raving about you or sharing your product? It's silly.
And Cece, do you take them to church on that? I mean,
I have. I've taken them to church directly. It's one of those things where, I get approached a lot by brands who think, oh, it's Cece, the author or the photographer, and they kind of forget that I've got all these years of marketing experience, and I've been on the other side of the house. And quite often, I'll never forget, we did this project, and I'll mention it because I learned Sony it was probably 6-7 years ago, brought together these 5 dads from around the country to do parenting-focused stuff with all the Sony equipment. And what was funny was 3 of us were marketing professionals. And we kept going, have you thought about this? Why aren't you doing this? And the great thing was, where there wasn't an agency in between us, the brand was like, well, I mean, there was an agency involved, but I mean, we were actually able to talk directly to the brand. They were like, oh, no, we hadn't thought of that, or no, that won't work. But they actually had the conversation with us. And it was refreshing because it's like, you respect us enough to actually listen to us. And I know there's budgets and times, and we don't know all the parts. I get that. But they actually listen to us. And, thankfully, since then, I've worked with companies who listen too, but there's plenty of them who just, oh, you're the negative Nelly. Why don't you shut up and just be happy that I'm shoving free product or whatever. And I'm like, sorry, no, it's not about, if I wanted to get paid in gift cards, I could do that. Not the way I roll.
Well, I think too that you're seeing a lot of them talk about relational marketing versus transactional, but they still need to step up to the plate, right, on that.
Oh, they totally do, and it's not that hard. Just be a good human, actually mean that you want a relationship beyond liking and sharing and those sort of things. And it's humanity 101, and yet so many businesses focus on the tactics and all that first, and that's important. It's very important, especially when you're spending money and time and resources. But if you're not being a good human on the other side, it's just no. Life's too short.
Yep. Excellent, excellent advice, Cece. Thank you. Now, of course, I love your podcast, Managing the Gray.
Thank you.
And over the last few months, it was you jumped on and you were definitely ready to communicate and you were ready to talk about vulnerability. And you really went deep on this. What instigated that conversation for you?
Honestly, what it was, I kind of hinted at it before. So last year, I was in a role with a company, and the company kind of imploded before it even got off the ground, and that sent me for a curveball. All of a sudden, I was at a point in my life where I went, whoa, wait a minute. I thought I had the next 5+ years planned, so that kind of threw me in a loop. Then the winter happened. Then we had to put our dog down in December, Roxy, after 12 years, and I got in a real bad funk. I wouldn't call it a depression because that's a whole other can of worms, and that word gets thrown around too often. But I was in a really bad funk, really dark place. Business sucked. It was bad. Things weren't coming in, and I started thinking more about it, about how far too often entrepreneurs, especially in today's world, where we don't talk. It's all about the glory. It's about who got the round of funding, or how awesome it is, and the top 10 ways that I got successful. But we never talk about the fact that being an entrepreneur is one of the scariest things in the world. Yes, it's not being a Syrian refugee where bombs are going off around your head. It's a different kind of fear, but it is fear, not knowing. It'd be a lot easier to throw in the towel, get a 9-to-5 gig where I know there's a check every week, and yet I know that as safe as that sounds, it can go away like that too. But it was one of those, talking about vulnerability and talking about, because we all want to put on that face of, oh, I'm CC Chapman, I'm the most successful content, but the truth is, I get scared. There's nights when I'm like, my wife and I are like, oh my God, what are you doing this month? There hasn't been a paycheck at all this month. What are we gonna do next? And but that never gets talked about. And I got thinking more about it, and it was one of those things. The way I do podcasts, I hit record, I finish it, and I hit publish, and I went, whoa, do I want to hit publish on this one? But it's the way I've always been. I am who I am. I could never put on a fake face. I would just, no, thank you. So I was very happy that people like you and many other people reacted the way they did. Where, wow, I don't know how many. I had actually people text me and stuff, say, CC, thank you for sharing that, because now I know me being scared as an entrepreneur or me being worried isn't crazy. Because and the phrase, if people like you, I'm like, what? I'm just another guy, but I understand what they mean. Like, if someone like you gets this nervous, then I feel better. And at the end of the day, if one person said that to me, and thankfully it was many people, but if one person says that, I'm like, you know what? If I have to rip my heart out to show, and I help somebody, then it is worth every bit of it.
Oh, and I was so thrilled, and I loved every minute of it. Was it 9 minutes long? I don't know. It wasn't that long, but It was just so heartfelt. And really, Richard O would have liked this. It was like he threw down the mic and walked away.
There you go.
But it was key, and it was a really important part, because, yes, like authenticity, vulnerability is thrown around a lot. But it really is when you share with your like-minded folks, with your tribe, these type of experiences that you have, being, sheer terror that I spoke about earlier, that is just part of this journey that we're on. It's what you choose and what you sign up for. And as much as we look at that carrot dangled in the distance called steady paycheck from a job, 6 weeks into it, you'd be crying, pulling your hair out, and frankly firing yourself.
Yeah, and I remember a friend of mine, when I was talking to about having those thoughts, and they said, CC, that would make your family even more unhappy because you would be such a grump. And I'm not opposed to taking a job, don't get me wrong. It's just, it would have to be the right job for sure. I think we've all had that situation where it's like, now. That, like, I saw one the other day. If I was willing to move, I found a dream job, and I'm like, nope, not, because moving's not even on the radar. But I was like, so there are definitely gigs out there that I would take in a heartbeat, because there's some nonprofit that where I'm going to work and be the executive director someday for sure. That's in my future. I know that.
Oh, that's a perfect segue to my next question.
Oh.
You know, because not only are you a storyteller, an explorer, and a proud papa, you are a humanitarian. And well, you've always tried to be, and you do a phenomenal job. You are sincerely moved by the different events around the world that are happening for our fellow humans that we don't often hear about. You had, though, a defining moment several years ago. Share with everybody that really kicked you into your humanitarian
place. Oh, you're going to go there, are you? So 2012, I went to Ghana with the One campaign, and it was a countrywide rollout of 2 vaccines for pneumonia and rotavirus, things that we take for granted. Kids don't die of diarrhea here in America. They just don't, but they do there. And it was just one of those moments where I met HIV positive mothers, I met malnutrition kids, but I also met entrepreneurs, and I met university students. So I saw all this different, and I just kept thinking, my God, there's so much more in this world than just selling another can of soda, marketing a movie. That stuff's fun. I've done it, but I was like, I want to use my skills for good. And so now I try to make sure that the projects I'm working on are focused on giving back in some way. And it doesn't have to be building a school in Rwanda. It could be helping a business figure out that they can partner with their local library or their local church or their local school. Because I think people kind of get lost in the fact that humanitarian or activist, whatever you want to call it, instantly means you have to do it on a global scale. There are so many issues in this world. Nobody's going to be able to fix them all. But sometimes there's issues down in your street that I think people kind of forget about, that it doesn't – being a humanitarian means, taking care of your fellow human. At least that's how I define it. And, yeah, Ghana definitely changed me, and I'm really actively hoping, I get to do more of those sort of activist citizen journalism trips where I get to – drop me in the middle of wherever and let me just take pictures and capture the stories and do audio and do that for, I see NGOs, the amazing work they do, and there's a lot going on here at home too. So. Well,
I think at South by Southwest you did a little something too, right?
Yeah, we had this idea where we were donated a space, which is not, it doesn't happen at South by. We're talking, that's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 worth of space. And so we had this idea of, well, let's raise awareness for social good, this concept of the triple bottom line in business, which is people, planet, and profit, talking about the fact that businesses can be more about just making money. They can be about other things. And so we did these, we hired an artist, and she was spray painting tattoos of one of them, and then the hope was people would walk around and be like, oh my God, you've got one of those, you believe in this, and start a conversation. And we had this living giving tree sculpture where people would donate $20, and the money was going to go to Swaziland, to these artists and women who make these necklaces and bracelets. But then instead of the person getting the bracelet, the necklace or bracelet would be donated to women's shelters there in Austin, because let's face it, women in these shelters, they're given food, they're given shelter, but when are they given something beautiful, right, to make themselves feel like a woman again? And we thought, well, this is such a little thing, and I still don't know how much we made that night, but I mean, we sold a bunch, and it felt so good, because I'm like, there's going to be women entrepreneurs in Swaziland who have been given a way to make money, and there's going to be women in Austin here in a shelter who are going to be given these gorgeous necklaces to make them feel a little bit more like they're not in a shelter dealing with whatever it is they're dealing with. And that just felt really, really good, and it was stressful, and it was tough, and not a single brand stepped up to be part of it. Shame on you, brands. But it didn't matter, because me and my buddy Brad Powell, who's out there, said, let's just do this. Let's do it, and something good will come of it. If nothing else, call it karma, call it the golden rule. It'll all come back around. I have no doubt about it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for asking about it.
Oh, I thought the photos were amazing, and I loved what was behind it. I love that you got the space by Southwest. It was really cool. But I also love your new endeavor, which is called Never Enough Days.
Yeah, so it's funny. So Never Enough Days is sort of focusing my efforts, my marketing and consulting efforts, to focus on social good activities. So while I can do marketing for anybody, I want to develop marketing campaigns for NGOs, for nonprofits, but then I also want to work. One of the biggest things I think brands are messing up on is there's this new thing called CSRs, or corporate social responsibility, where a company is giving back and doing something, but they're not telling anybody. And I understand you don't want to be that brand who's tooting your horn going, look at all the good we do in the world. But at the same time, you should be telling people. I keep finding out about all this stuff happening, and I'm like, why doesn't the world know this? So part of what I want to do is I want to help businesses tell that strategically and humbly and appropriately, but tell it still. So yeah, Never Enough Days is my entity to focus on social good marketing initiatives. And we're training nonprofits, we're training NGOs as well, because I know how to do that, and I know they have a problem with it. And we're storytelling, and we're creating content. It's literally one of those things where you know how it is as an entrepreneur. You got to create the entity to build around and build, because some people won't talk to CC, but they'll talk to Never Enough Days. So I'm still trying to figure out where the difference is, because people keep coming in like, well, Cece, what's this Never Enough Days thing? Is that you? And I'm like, yeah. So it's that whole problem of having a brand, a personal brand, and then it's like, well, it's a balancing act, and I'm still trying, as a marketer, I'm still trying to figure out the best way to tell the world about it. So it's a learning experience.
It's a great work in progress, something that we can all watch.
Well, it's funny because the origin of the name, because I get a lot, the audience is split on the name. They either hate it because it's negative, or they love it because they get it. And my whole thing is the fact that there is never enough days to do everything I want in my life, and I think that's true for most people, and that's where the name came from. Originally, I bought the name thinking it might be a travel blog originally, and I always had it, but then I kept thinking, like, I really like this concept of never enough days to do, so when you're trying to save the world, there's never enough days, and that's where it came from. And who knows, maybe it'll crash and burn, but I'm still going to keep doing the work, name or no name, doesn't matter.
Awesome. I'm going to do a yeehaw for that. That's a great idea. So, yeah, we have Richard, Talk to Me guy here, Richard O., and he says, be a good human. Excellent. So true. I just had to highlight that again, because whether you're a big brand or a solopreneur, underneath everything that you're doing should be the fact that you're giving and you're being good and you're being real, right, Cece?
That's all it boils down to. I mean, I think what it boils down to, especially in today's world, we want to do business with brands. We want to choose brands that we do business with like we choose our friends, right? We're choosing brands that, yes, they have to have a great product. You have to have a great product or service. Don't get me wrong. That's business 101. But if in a competing landscape, if there's 5 brands that have similar products, similar price, but this one over here is doing something, whether it's giving back in some way or they're just being more human, we're going to do business with them. More and more people are finally proving this with their wallets and their checkbooks, which is important. Checkbooks. Does anybody even have checkbooks anymore? I don't know. But they're finally doing that, and I think it's too many brands are forgetting about it. There's brands out there that I won't do business with because of certain things, and I love their product or service, but I'm like, you know what? No, I don't. I will find someone else to spend money on.
Yep, I get you on that. And I want to bring up Dana's comment because she's sharing the Ghana experience. Hi, Dana. Ghana's an incredible place. I visited for a service project as well and had the same type of realization about how there's so much more in this world. A young entrepreneur is our Dana. I love her. Hey, Cece, what are you looking forward to? What's on the horizon that's just making your heart sing?
Well, actually, it's funny because I haven't talked anywhere about it yet because it's not live yet. But so there's this thing, Creative Mornings, that happen in 32 countries around the world, and Chase Jarvis's speech was one of the I think it's creativemornings.com. The last Friday of every month around the world, there's a theme, and they have speeches. And I am the April speaker for Creative Mornings Boston, and the theme is humility. And so, yeah, so...
Oh, my gosh, Cece. So what date? What date?
April 20th. Yes, I still have a paper calendar on my wall. April 24th. It's always a free... I love this. It originally started for artists and designers, but they're always 100% free. They put the tickets up for sale on Monday, and they always... the Monday before, and they always sell out. And
will you be online, or will it be a physical space you'll be talking?
physical space. It's actually at the Boston one is at Emerson this time.
Oh, I want to
So
go.
yeah,
Don't
you
pull it
should.
my
It's good. It'll be free. I know the page isn't up yet because I was actually talking to him today. I'm like, when do you put up a page so I can start like promoting this? So it'll be up soon. But I'm really excited because, you know, it's the theme is humility, and it's gonna be I still haven't finished the talk, but you were asking earlier about am I gonna that one I am gonna prep for because I only have 20 minutes, and that's a really short time. So I'm really
Oh, I
prepping.
can't wait to see it. I'm so excited about that.
I'm really excited about that, and I'm speaking at NMX next week, which will be fun on Social Good, and then I don't have much on the horizon after that, which is kind of nice. You know, so I'm actively trying to fill my dance card at the moment. It's way too empty, which is weird for me. It's good for the puppy at the moment, but it's weird for me.
Awesome, awesome. I'm going to do a quick shout out to folks, CC, that, first of all, the folks here that are here live, thank you so much for showing up and sharing your delicious energy. And then I have folks who stopped by and said, hey, Andy, I'm going to have to catch the replay. So I'd like to do a quick mwah, 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 mwah to those folks. And that, of course, is Susan Winter and Pamela and Deborah Oakland and Cherie Valentine and Dave Moore, who's not feeling well. He's usually here. And to all of you other folks who have watched the replay, I'm so grateful that you took time out to feed your heart, feed your mind with the deliciousness of this phenomenal guest, C.C. Chapman, which, again, you can find all his wonderful work at cc-chapman.com. And be sure to connect with him. He has his favorite places like Twitter and Instagram and okay, maybe sometimes Google Plus and Facebook, but you'll find all the links in the archives to where you can connect with him on social media as well. You will learn from this man, always, always, always. He's so genuine and so wonderful. CC, any last words before we wrap up the show?
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun to come on this show, and it's always, you know, the way you use the word delicious always makes me smile. In a very good way. Oh,
I'm so glad. You know, I tell people that's how I brand myself. It's a great way to filter out those who want to work with you.
Yeah. If someone goes, what the heck's wrong with this lady? Then they're not. And that's a perfect lesson for entrepreneurs, right? Is that not every client is right for you, and it's painful to say no to a client, but there's not enough headache. You can't add enough headache fee into your invoicing to work with everybody. So it's not. So I mean, parting words. Don't give up as entrepreneurs. You know, if it's in your heart and your soul and you feel like you couldn't give up on it, don't, and figure out a way to make it work. I'm trying to figure that out right now, but it's one of those things where if it's in your heart and you can't get it out of your head, keep pushing forward and find a way. Make it happen.
Absolutely, and when you show up to a live event with Possibility Partners, you get to meet wonderful guests like Cece, come into the Afterglow chat, but also the entrepreneurs who are in the comment thread. Oh my gosh, you can reach out to each and every one of them as well. They're here to support you, and we're here to support each other, so it's great. Next week, on the 14th, I'm not going to be here. I'm doing college tour with our youngest.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh. So we're off looking at colleges next week, but I will be back April 21st with the remarkable Blair Glazer, who's talking all about stepping into your authority. Authority is sexy, authority is attractive, and authority is a must for all of us entrepreneurs to really be able to convey what it is that we know to be true. So I hope to see everybody back here, 1 p.m. EST on April 21st. Thank you, entrepreneurs, for having the courage to share your gifts with the world. I love sharing with you on all the platforms, but you know I'm usually hanging out at my favorite bar, Twitter, serving up the drinks of inspiration and entrepreneurial Andeliciousness. So until I see you next time, I'm wishing you, oh yeah, an Andelicious day. Mwah!